Alright, so this video is going to be very different from anything I've ever done before. It's going to be me talking about the books I've read in 2023. So I set myself the goal of reading 16 books, and it was quite challenging actually. I'd read 16 books before, but this year's books, the ones I picked were, I don't know, harder to read, I suppose. So in no particular order, well, I'm going to start with the first book I read this year, which is So Good They Can't Ignore You by Carl Newport. And these are going to be kind of just overviews of the books. They're not going to be massive in-depth reviews. I'm just going to say what I have to say about them. So Good They Can't Ignore You is really good advice for when you are early in your career and don't really know what to do. Not so much what to do, but how to approach careers in general and what you want to achieve out of them, and how maybe having a dream career is not what you want, really. Very useful, very easy read. I like Carl Newport's books. I read 2 of them last year. Very good, yeah. The the next one is one of my favorites actually, which is A Game of Thrones by George R. R. Martin. I just pray that he finishes this series. I want it so bad. It's just amazing. The character building, the world, everything is just incredible in this book and the other ones too. Just how attached you get to these characters and how deep they are and how real the scenery is. It's just amazing. Definitely good. I'll rate So Good They Can't Ignore You a 7 out of 10. I'll rate this one an 8.5 out of 10. It was such a good read and I got through this so quickly just because of how good it is. Next up, we have, you can't really see it from here, but it's Letters from a Stoic by Seneca. And it's a collection of, letters of Seneca to his friend Lucilius. I hope I pronounced that right. And this was a very hard read for me, actually. It was very difficult to sit through. Not because it's written poorly, but because of the themes are so thought-provoking. And also dry sometimes. You can only sit through how many chapters? There's 60 odd letters here. All of them telling you that you're going to die one day. Sometimes you have to take a break. But overall, incredible advice and extremely relevant in today's world. I really liked it. It was a little bit drier, so I'll say a 6.5 out of 10. But extremely valuable advice. Just quite hard to read, at least I found. The next book we have is A Clash of Kings. So I couldn't really wait, so there we go. Here's the cover. Clash of Kings, the biggest book this year. It's up to nearly 900 pages. And it just builds up on A Game of Thrones. Just amazing. These books are so good. Really absolutely incredible what he's done. This one is a lot of pages of almost not that much happening, but you can't stop. You cannot stop reading this. So Clash of Kings is it's not lack of action, but there isn't a huge amount happening, and I think that happens in most of the books. Because if you think about the show and the story, it wasn't the fact that everyone was dying all the time. It was the fact that the relationships between the characters were very complex, and that's what gripped us, right? It's not the battles per se, and the various killings and whatever. It's the connection you build with the characters. Really good. I would say I like this one more than A Game of Thrones. I'd probably put it like 8.7 out of 10. Just amazing. Still love this very much. The next book. This is a very, very, very good book. It's the one that took me the shortest to read. I think 2 days, both on the train. I was going into London for work. I just finished the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Just so funny. I've never read so much in a book. I've never laughed so much with a book. It's just so good. If you haven't read it, you're doing yourself a disfavor by not reading it. It's only short of 200 pages. It's so effortless, and I can't wait to read the other books from this series. I would probably say, out of all the books this year, this one was my favorite. This is, for me, a 10 out of 10. It's so funny, so innovative for the time, and just brilliant, honestly. It makes no sense at times. It's hilarious in others. It's just great. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy gets Book of the Year, I think, for me. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Next we have a non-fiction. So, those we had 2 non-fictions and then 2 fictions, and here we are, Crossing the Chasm, a business/marketing book. This was very interesting because I never read a book about these topics before, and so I found it quite difficult to even read, right? Because if you're reading something you know very little about, you often struggle with taking in that new topic. So I had to be quite slow reading this. But I think I am now slightly more capable of tackling a growth strategy or how to target a business, point a business in the right direction, right? Even for my work, this is extremely relevant because I would probably say I work in the very kind of early stages of the chasm where it's the tech enthusiasts going into the visionaries. That's probably where my professional life is mostly happened. So actually I have very little experience with the rest, and this was extremely useful to see what the actual 2/3 of the world need, the pragmatists and the conservatives, as they are. I believe that he refers to them in this book. Really good bowling pin strategy. That's probably what stayed with me the most. Tackling being the biggest fish in the smallest pond possible. Very good. Anyone who's looking to start a business, do anything, honestly, just read the book. Do yourself a favor. It's not that many pages, and very good read. Right. Next up, we have another non-fiction. This is actually the second time I've read this book. No, maybe third time. Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. So another Stoic text. This is I forget his name, the person who did the translation. Let me look it up quickly. Gregory Hayes. This is the best meditations translation I've read, and I've read 2, this one included, but everyone else thinks so as well. It's a very good translation. It's very eloquent English, and the ideas, I feel like, are translated very well to what Marcus Aurelius originally wanted to say about the book. So I definitely recommend this specific translation of Meditations. Obviously, the themes are ones you kind of know, the fundamentals of Stoicism, basically. Well, not so much the fundamentals, but I would say the practical aspects of Stoicism are in here, because this was a diary in the end, right? This was not a text. This was not a letter like the Seneca book. This was an actual diary from someone's life. So very useful, like this. So this translation probably 7 out of 10, let's say. Okay, continuing the trend with non-fiction, we have the best tech book I've ever read, Refactoring, Improving the Design of Existing Code by Martin Fowler. This book is great, really, really, really great. And for any up-and-coming engineers, read it. You are doing yourself a disfavor if you haven't read this book. I think it puts a lot of things that you kind of assume and know as an engineer and writes them down, right? Why we need to refactor, what do we tell our bosses when we need to refactor, how and when how often should we refactor, with whom, how do we review, blah blah blah. And also the 100 or so refactoring techniques. Obviously it focuses more on OOP, but it's extremely relevant, right? It's techniques that you've probably used maybe half of. If you're a good engineer, you've definitely used them, right? Adding parameter, removing parameter, extracting stuff. Extremely helpful. would definitely recommend you study this book if you are a software engineer. This goes into the 8 out of 10. Very good book. Next up, sticking with non-fiction. That's a lot of non-fiction this year. No BS Leadership by Chris Hurst. So I actually don't know that much about him. I know he has a very successful business. He either founded or took over. And he's written some books on leadership. This is a very handy guide. Very, very handy guide. And it kind of it stays true to the name. It goes into points with very few waffle. You do need to, get 200 pages to get a book out. So he probably could have written the whole book in 100 pages, but, you need a couple of examples here and there. But I really like his take on leadership, because it's not I don't think it's a classical take at all. It is about, in his eyes, leadership is about creating a group, not so much as taking a group from one place to the other. Or it kind of is. I don't know. I don't really know how to put it to words in terms of classical leadership. It's not about telling people what to do. It's about guiding a group of people from a certain position where you are now and the position you want to be in the future, but not by telling people what to do, by empowering people to do their best work. No BS Leadership gets 7.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. Very easy read. Not easy, but very enjoyable read, I would say. Great book. So fiction, the last Song of Ice and Fire books. The first part to A Storm of Swords. So this is the first book where Martin splits the POV chapters. So you get half the characters here and half the characters in the other book that I haven't read yet. So this is the last one I read that year. I have to stop myself, otherwise I'll read them all in one go. A Storm of Swords is just as great as the previous two books, in my opinion. It is slightly slower. There is a lot less happening here than in A Clash of Kings. However, again, the world building, the characters, just all great. It's great. I love this series so much. It's amazing. And yeah, characters get deeper, relationships get deeper, new characters, just really good. I really love it. Probably one of the best works of fiction I've read. Like as I said, a book series, definitely. Storm of Swords gets. I'll put it in at 8.5, like the others. Amazing. Couldn't stop reading it. Next up, we have kind of an odd book. It is Pride and Prejudice in a cloth-bound edition, which is very nice. It was actually a gift from my girlfriend. So this one is by far and away the best well-written book I've ever read. And by that, I don't mean it is the easiest to read, it is the most enjoyable. I mean, Jane Austen is an incredible writer. Just amazing writer. And you can really see how at the time it was much more common to write eloquently than it was to write easily. So I think most modern books try to write stuff easily so that we can read it quicker and understand things better or more quickly, which is very good in my opinion, because it's just easier to read, right? We don't have to debate on the meaning of words, but it is nice to take a step back and read a book that is eloquently written with many words that I definitely had to Google. Although it doesn't, it's a lot of eloquent words and very eloquently written. The story I think everyone knows. She has too much prejudice, he has too much pride, and it's the story of Miss Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy and how eventually they end up together. Beautiful scenery, really well written. I think this one gets. People will slate me because I'm gonna rate Song of Ice and Fire higher because I just enjoyed it more. But I'm gonna put this as an 8 out of 10. Even if you're not a classicals person, right? If you're just a kid like me, you enjoy reading, this is going to be a good book. It did not take me long at all, even though it's fairly long. Jane Austen, brilliant writer, amazing. The next one might be slightly controversial, I guess. It's God is Not Great by Christopher Hitchens. So Christopher Hitchens has passed away about 12 years ago. He was one of, I guess he kind of popularized internet atheism, maybe. At least I feel like as soon as you delve into atheism online, you will find his name very quickly. Him and Richard Dawkins, the other one. And it's a very thought-provoking book. It is not one book. It's like 10 small essays packed into one, and it basically deconstructs every modern theism, every deity, and argues that the world would be better without religion, not just Christianity, not just Islam, but just without any religion, he claims. And it's a very interesting thing to read about, because you don't really question the existence of certain things in society and in the world. You don't question the existence of religion. You can question the beliefs. So you can question, is there a God? Is there no God? Blah blah blah. But you don't really question the existence of religion itself, or at least not very often. And the actual institutions behind religion, not the beliefs. The Catholic Church, the Arabic countries with that follow Sharia law very closely. Imperialistic Japan, that was primarily Buddhist, and even oh god, what's his name? That fought against the British in India. I'm forgetting his name. Gandhi. That's it. How his branch of Sikhism is perhaps not great. A lot of stuff that you wouldn't primarily think of that he talks about, and it's a very good book, even if you are religious, because it will. In my eyes, it might not make you question your beliefs. I don't think this book attacks beliefs at all. I think it attacks institutions and group identities more than it attacks belief. So for that, it's a very good book. God is Not Great. It's obviously a title, a very targeted title. This gets a 7.8. It was very good. I really enjoyed it. I didn't think I would, but I definitely enjoyed it. Next up, we have Crimes Against Logic. This was a book I googled and bought within 3 minutes. I kind of just wanted a book on logic and sort of logical fallacies and debating in general. How I could talk better and identify poorly constructed arguments, I suppose. By Jamie White. It is great. It kind of walks through some logical fallacies and how they're used in the model world and in journalism, etc., and by governments primarily. And it kind of tells you what they are, examples of them, how to avoid making them, right? Because it is very easy to commit logical fallacies when you are talking and when you are expressing ideas. And it's very good. Actually, it's a very specific book, right? It only deals with this, and it's great. It's funny. It's comical at times, and yeah, I would put this in a very solid 7 out of 10. I feel like I'm rating books really highly because I've really enjoyed reading this year. But anyway, let's keep going. How to Talk to Anyone by Leah Loans. I'm not quite sure how to say her name. This is a book written 20 years ago, and it talks about how to talk to people, how to have a presence in a room, how to engage people's attention, how to make people want to talk to you. I feel like I struggle with this. I don't know why, just an awkward computer science student or something. And I think the book has helped a ton, right? It really is quite a practical guide onto little things you can do in life to just be more interesting and to just unlock the skill that is talking to people, because you can have the best ideas in the world. If you can't convey it to anyone, you're done. So I think it's really helped on that. It's also very easy read, very well written. I think it might be slightly too long. There's a couple of the tricks, as she calls them, are some of them start to get repeated, some of them get a little bit strange, but overall very helpful. I'll probably put this in the... I don't want to rate it below a 7. I'd say 7 actually. Solid 7. Enjoyed it. Read it fairly quickly, and it has actually helped quite a bit. How to talk to anyone. Next up, second to last, it is The Hound of Baskervilles. The Hound of the Baskervilles. So a Sherlock Holmes book. It is one of my favorite book series, Sherlock Holmes. Probably the second favorite behind A Song of Ice and Fire. I have really enjoyed reading Sherlock Holmes. I think they're such good books, such good stories, and it's obviously such a memorable character, Sherlock, and obviously Dr. Martin as well. This one is weird actually, because Sherlock is absent for most of the book. I won't spoil too much of the story, but it's God, it's really bad. I'm forgetting. I said Dr. Martin. No, Martin Goodman is the author, the actor for Sherlock BBC. Sherlock Holmes, and oh my god, I forgot his name. Watson. My god, Dr. Watson. It's through his point of view like usual, but Sherlock is absent through most of it. So if you read the book, you'll kind of understand why. Cool. It's a cool book. It's a Sherlock book. There's a nice twist at the end. There's mystery. There's intrigue. Pretty great. I'd say a 7.2 out of 10. Very, very solid. Liked it a lot. And then the last book is also a fiction book, and it is Blade Runner. Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? And this is so good, in my opinion. I love that. I love this book a lot. It talks about it. It's weirdly relevant in 2023 because of the AI boom. But it talks about how humans would react to humanoid androids, how we would identify them, and the problems coming with, retiring said androids. It's very thought-provoking. It is great. It obviously inspired Blade Runner as well. And God, I have more things to say about this book at this point. Oh yeah, the fact that humans like animals so much is very interesting to me. Obviously, if life is scarce, then we would see it as sacred. One thing I would think it would be interesting is if he wrote about the eating patterns of people, what they ate, because I don't think they would eat animals, and I just wonder if that will be the future of humanity, where we stop seeing life as such a common thing and take it for granted. Great book. I would say 8 out of 10. Really enjoyed it. And that's it for books. I've talked for quite a while now. I will just mention a couple of extra things that I've read this year. I bought my first comic book, Rick and Morty comic book, The Science of Summer. It's very cool. I think comic books are great, actually. I think I might get a little bit more into them. It's just very, very, very nice art. And it's kind of, I feel like it's an episode that's missing from Rick and Morty, like a full summer episode, just dedicated to her, which would be great. Obviously, this took like 10 minutes to read. It's pretty fun. I actually bought this in the Isle of Wight in a little shop in Ryde. Really fun. Enjoyed it. And then the very last thing I read is this. Too Long, which is the newspaper by TLDR News. And this was amazing. I think I am very well informed as to what happened in 2023 now. And you can really tell they are YouTubers by the way it's written. This is not modern media. And another thing that is very cool about this is that there are no ads, obviously, because I paid for the newspaper. And I paid, decent. For a newspaper, it is expensive. But and because there's no ads, it's all content. It's all their content. And it's all very well written. And it's very, very enjoyable to consume the entire year's news this way. It was about, I think it's 36 pages. So, yeah, I kind of read one article a day. Took, I think, about a month to read. Just kind of put it on the side, read it every once in a while. Very great. Very, very good. If they do another one next year, and then the one after, I'll buy them every year for the years they do them. I think they're great reviews of the years as they go. I think that about covers it for things I've read. So let's finish off with Book of the Year. For me, was Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. This is a 10. This is an absolute 10. If you have not read it, read this book. Just incredible book. So much fun to read. Really, you'll laugh, you'll cry. It's just great. And I can't wait to read the others. There you go. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Book of the Year. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far, this is a video I wanted to make for quite a long time. And it is the 8th of January, so it is a bit late. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you in other videos. Maybe Advent of Code videos. I'm not quite sure what I'll be doing. But, I'll try and be a bit more active. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.